What's up, everybody? It's been a while. First things first, I want to apologize. In the last real video, not counting like the half dozen shorts over the last year or so, but the last real video I had made, I kind of gave you a bit of an update, and I said that the plan was, and it was with all intents and purposes, the plan to make more reptile content, not nearly at the amount that I was doing, but I was, and maybe not super consistently, but I was going to keep giving more reptile content, that I wasn't going away. And well, that didn't happen. And with in regards to what I hold probably too high and consistent of importance in both my personal and professional lives, honesty, transparency, and accountability have always been one of the most important things, some of the most important things, see, I'm rusty, things to me. And that is what I would like to think I have done for all of you on this channel. I mean, I know that I have put some stuff out there in the past, especially earlier videos, that were not great. And I know I did not do the best job of actually presenting that, and then I came back, and maybe I didn't even do the best job of apologizing for it later, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the purpose of today's video is, and I apologize if this gets a little bit ranty, it's going to come across as like one of my little podcasts, solo podcast snake story time things, and that isn't what I'm going to classify this, but it's definitely going to come up that. So enjoy the large amount of B-roll I'm going to stuff into this video to kind of make up for that. If you're one of the people that actually still watches YouTube and you just don't listen to it like I do, like it's basically just like background noise for me at this point. So when I said that, I had already been going through a lot of mental health problems, depression, and just everything going on with me, with this ranch that we are on, with the world at large. A lot of stuff has affected me personally. A lot of stuff has affected people in my life, much more so, especially this last year. And all that's taken a toll. Essentially what it was is that everything was just kind of compounding. And when it comes to the reptiles, so we're an education and a small batch breeder. For education purposes, a lot of schools and programs and nonprofits, their funding got cut. Some of it came back, a lot of it didn't. Much more of it wasn't in full. Everything is still up in limbo for a lot of people. So the amount of reach outs has dwindled down to single digits in a year. So that wasn't a whole lot as far as that goes, as well as, for the YouTube monetization, realistically, because I never got super popular with all of you guys. Not that I didn't appreciate you, and I still do, but I've never been very popular. I'm not a pretty girl. I don't do the live feedings. I don't have the $23,000 ball pythons and stuff. So I never got real popular. So the actual monetization that I got was never all that high to begin with, as well as I only lost about $40, $50 each paycheck from YouTube/Google. And that's without me putting out any real content for almost a year and a half, 2 years. So both with just the amount of time that it takes to do these better education videos, where I'm not just going basic care guides with easily Googleable and Wikipedia-backed articled information, takes so much time and energy. So a lack of that, a lack of mental health and drive to do that, as well as not even like a push of monetary, like that guy pushing you behind on that chariot to even push that forward. It made no sense to really keep doing something that I just couldn't bring myself to do. And I was not just looking forward to it, I was almost dreading making the videos. So that, and then with the snake breeding, we knew going into 2025, things were probably not going to be great. We were already kind of going on that downhill slope of the reptile industry. It's like a roller coaster. There's ups and highs. COVID in 2020, 2021, the reptile industry had a huge boom because everybody was staying home. You could keep your snakes. Ball pythons took another huge boom after they kind of lulled for a little while. There was a new renaissance of interest in a lot of the different colubrid species and stuff. But as that waned and started to go down, and with all of the economic stuff and social stuff going on, not only in this country, but across the entire world, but especially in this country, because, Americans, we have to make everything about us, right? And I'm going to do my best not to get into it. But we knew that it wasn't going to be very good for breeding, especially this year. Probably not for next year either. So we really scaled back the amount that I was going to be breeding or even pairing. Like, I have the ability to pair probably 20 to 25 female just ball pythons every single year, with me feeding them sparingly and whatever may have you. I never pair that many, even during like those boom good years. So we super scaled back. We only paired, I think, 6 or 7 females, and some other kind of secret project stuff happened along the way that had me pairing them a little bit later in the year. But even then, for the other species of snakes, I didn't pair the Sonoran gopher snakes. I didn't pair the Honduran milk snakes. I didn't pair the California king snakes. And even with that, we still attended quite a few reptile expos, and we were doing okay for all things considered. But because of that, the way we keep the reptiles here, we don't pack as many ball pythons or other species of snakes into as small of racks as possible. You've seen me talk about that. You can see behind me, like, these are just 3 different boas and 6x2x2 cages behind me. So I'm not the most economically sound reptile keeper and breeder. So that's expensive. And so what happens a lot of times with the ebbs and flows of the reptile industry, irregardless, is that correct? Irregardless of other external pressures, whenever this happens and keepers and breeders kind of fall under strain or it falls out of their focus, a lot of times what you see is them just dumping whole or a good portion of their collections onto, Craigslist has been the go-to for the last while, but they're just letting their collections go. And I don't want to do that. These animals are more than just numbers and a paycheck for me. They are ambassadors. They are my pets. They are things that kept me going through not great times. And while, yes, I did have a couple go to specific people that were looking for very specific animals, I'm talking 4 or 5 animals outside of babies that we're actively trying to produce. And even then, I still have a couple out of the, less than a couple dozen baby snakes that I produced this year. I still have a handful of them left. Just that's what is happening in the world. And so because of that, because essentially it comes down to a choice. Do I let go of the vast majority of animals on the ranch, which includes not only the reptiles, but the livestock, so the goats and the birds and things like that, and I try to find a regular 9-to-5 job here in the small little rural mountain town that I live in now? Or do I try to double, triple, quadruple down on the extracurricular stuff to try to make up for that? And that's exactly what we did. We have been really, really going hard, which aggravates me to no end. It hurts me on a deep personal soul level. The snakes and cakes, so the baking aspect. It hurts that I'm technically a professional pastry chef now. Like, you guys, for any of the people who have ever worked like restaurant business or in hotels or anything like that, for the line monkeys out there, you know how awful that is for me. But that's what we've been doing, We have done more events this year than we did in all of 2024 and 2023. Between the reptile expos, the educational events, which was like 3, and all of the craft fairs and holiday bazaars and markets and things like that. And we still have a couple more this year to go to make up for that. I'm not a very competitive person. Like, you've heard me talk about the reptiles and the ball python stuff. I don't do the crazy morph combos. I do stuff that I like. And so in the case of the baking and stuff, the way that our cottage kitchen, which is like you do stuff in your home, you have to follow very strict laws, but it means I don't have to get USDA licensed, at least in my state. I have to follow very specific rules, but it means I can just kind of do whatever I want at my pace as long as I follow those rules. And that's allowed me to essentially make up even more so than what I was doing at the big reptile expos outside of like the big reptilian nations where, we're bringing home like into almost like 5 to 6 digits. Not 6 digits, almost 5 digits, right? So we're making up for that a little bit in that regard, which also turns out it's good because my partner, who was also doubled down on trying to make up costs, where she developed a gluten allergy, which works pretty well considering that's the baking that I do is gluten-free baking, because I just do stuff that other people can't do, so I don't have to compete with all the sourdough weirdos. But she got a part-time job working at like the area health organization that we live in. We just bought a mobile trailer that she'll be able to do all of her stuff in on our property, so she'll no longer having to be paying rent in town for the stuff that she's doing. So all of that time and energy and money has been trying to essentially been removed from investing in more reptile stuff. And even then, we didn't completely not do anything for the reptiles this year. But that's what we've really been focusing on this last year and a half or so. We are still doing reptile stuff, obviously. We are still breeding, and I've been missing this education talking. I've been isolated myself a lot more than I ever thought I was going to. 20-something Jay-Z is just going to be hitting me right at this point. But I do generally miss doing this for everybody, and that's what I want to start doing. And unfortunately, which I kind of forgot about, another thing that we've been doing is I find myself doing what I was doing very similarly like 10 years ago when I very first started to keep reptiles and start talking to people, explaining that reptiles are not evil. They're not the devil, right? They're beneficial not only as pets, but for the environment and all these great things. It's not nearly as much anymore because reptiles have gotten more popular and more mainstream as time has gone on. But now I'm finding myself doing that with something else in regard to our ranch stuff. So as everyone knows, here in Colorado, not everybody knows, apologies, Colorado stuff. Here in Colorado, we recently had wolves be voted in to be reintroduced back into parts of the state. Every single rancher and rural person got up in their kerfuffles, including a lot of people who also, as you all saw in my full property ranch tour, which I'll try to remember to put a link for right here. It's been a while since I've done this, so I apologize. If not, I will. You can find it on my page, if I mess that up. Where we have livestock guarding dogs. They guard the goats and the ducks that produce the eggs that make the cookies that we sell to go back to pay for the electricity bill because lights are expensive, right? Well, I have been trying to explain to a whole lot of not biologists that wolves are not evil monsters that are going to steal and eat your children while they wait at the bus stop. How so few predations or unalivings there have been by wolves in the last century, how few accidents there are, how few livestock are being taken, and especially for the livestock guarding dog people, we like the wolves being back in the state because more people will want to buy our dogs. Then I was very promptly kicked out of a lot of those groups for pointing these things out. But one of the big things, other than the just complete the complete disregard for any and all credible information about, naturalists, about large carnivore biologists, about anything to do with that, a lot of people, when that is all been negated, they try to nitpick about, well, because these wolves are they're being essentially tranquilized, collared, tagged, and relocated from Canada and Minnesota and those places. They're like, well, they're a larger subspecies, and that's not okay. Well, number one, moose and mountain goats aren't really native to most of Colorado. The elk population is bigger than it was. Okay, we're not going to get into it, but apologies. But basically what it is that they're complaining that the wolves are a larger subspecies. And as all of you reptile people know, especially people who deal with, for instance, North American rat snakes or Morelia, we know just how insane the taxonomy is with those things. Like, you try to explain to a cattle rancher about, hey, can you tell me the difference of the mitochondrial differences of subspeciation? Because, spoilers, that's not a universal thing. There are so many different things from the DNA level to behavioral to size to morphological to geographical that all have to do with subspeciation, and none of that is concrete. New stuff is being dug up every day because, hey, that's what science is. But that is what we're spending a lot of our time doing now. Is I'm trying to do that to work with our livestock guarding program, because essentially we had a choice to make, which was, okay, we are working on trying to establish this new breed of livestock guarding dog, because the behaviors are better suited for these kind of small ranches or hobby farms than it works over in Europe or in Central Asia. And so, okay, what we're going to do is our original dame, we're going to breed her one last time. She only had the one litter. We gave her a couple years off. This will be her last litter with our original stud, and then she'll be fixed, and then we will make a decision in a couple years, once those puppies get a little bit older, if we're going to neuter that male, or if we're going to keep him as a stud, because a lot of their puppies are doing very good. There's one of our puppies down in New Jersey. Some puppies are down in Texas. Some puppies are in on over 100 head goat ranch just up the road from us. The puppies that we kept, and the ones that came back, they have run off black bears, hawks, coyotes, feral dogs all the time, just on our property. And so we're like, okay, we'll do that. In addition to, we kept one male puppy intact because we really like his personality. His behavior is much in line to what the breed standard of what we're trying to go. So this is a story that if you guys really want to hear about in detail, let me know down in the comments. This is not really reptile related at all, but it is an insane story. I drove out to Southern Oregon after talking to quite a few breeders, and we found a female Boz Shepherd. It's another in the Turkish Shepherd, similar to like the Kangal and the Anatolian Shepherd. We picked up a little girl that in a couple years we'll get her reassessed health-wise, behavior-wise, and we might pair up her with the one boy, so our F1 or G1 boy for that girl, and we'll continue another line, and so on and so forth. And it is an insane story. Like last year, I made a trip out to Idaho to pick up an entire ball python breeding collection, like adults, subadults, incubators, racks, all this stuff. And it was an insane story. I posted it on my Patreon. I know I don't have a whole lot of you guys on there, but like I almost died a couple times. I got stranded in a city that is not a great place to be for a person like me. And while this trip to go get our little female puppy was not as life-threatening, I guess, it was definitely not uneventful. And I haven't even really gone into a whole lot of details other than just like explaining to my partner about it, because I had to like, keep her about what's going on. Like there were a couple times where I had to call her because I didn't have service, because I was in the middle of nowhere, northern Nevada, and I was having issues. So if you really want to hear about that story, let me know down below. I'll get into that, and I can maybe do more. And this is another thing that I wanted to bring up in this video, was that in addition to hopefully doing more reptile content, maybe if you guys want to hear some other stories about what's going on with me, I know a lot of the times, yes, you're here for the reptile content and you're here for that kind of thing, but a lot of times you end up liking personalities, and that sounds icky to say out loud. But when I'm told that I could easily be both either a politician, because I'm so charismatic, or a serial killer, I don't know if that's actually due to as a compliment or not, more than once by multiple strangers. Maybe you guys actually like to hear this kind of rambling from me. So if you want to hear more of those updates, let me know down below. Let me know in the comments. Please reach out. Apologize, this video is starting to drag on. Again, hopefully you enjoyed all the little videos of both the puppies and the snakes. I'm going to let you guys know about some of the very few acquisitions that we got in this last year, about future breeding plans. Remember how I said that I was really scaling back on the ball pythons, but here's the deal. We've all heard from literally everyone who ever attends a reptile expo does nothing but complain about the number of ball pythons, and I get it. They're not wrong. But as someone who does more than a handful of reptile expos in several states a year, who breeds more than just that one species, who will frequently bring 4 to 9 species of snakes, and even more so when I'm partnering up with beasties, that's what I'm still selling is ball pythons. That's what I sell more than. Like even other breeders that I know about that work with a lot of other different stuff. They'll sit there and they'll go, "Oh, cool, Louisiana pine snake, the most endangered species in the United States. Ooh, rhino rat snake. You even brought an adult with you so you can see the cool oxygenic color change. I'll just take that pinstripe pipe, please." Like, that's what still happens. So I'm never not going to breed ball pythons. They're the most popular pet snake for a reason. We get it. We've all heard the things. We're not going to go into it. But what I'm going to do is really restrict the number that I'm going to be breeding, which means, again, I'm just feeding snakes. I'm not going to be making money on it. I'm not a good ball python breeder. But I'm going to be breeding the stuff that I like, that high white calico stuff, that really cool orange dream that isn't the high intensity orange dream. There's always going to be a want for the bananas, for the pieds, for the bells, as well as there's this fun, stupid project I've talked about with a couple people for a couple years now. I tried it the first pairing last year. The eggs went bad, unfortunately, but now I have acquired 2 more pairs, so a total of 3 pairings to try to make this fun, cool, stupid ball python morph project. And that's really what I've been focusing on, is just those small little things. But I have also been doing some collaborative and secret stuff kind of behind closed doors, and I'll go into more in that detail on my Patreon. So if you want to go check that out as well, please do. And again, thank you all so much. I apologize again for rambling so much. I'm going to have more stuff coming out too. I even have a couple species that I've had for a little while that I was just waiting for them to get a little bit more of size, so it'll be a better video for you all. I'm going to try to batch record a number of these videos, both hopefully not this long. This is going to be the really long one, but again, I'm just being open and honest with you guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy this or appreciate it, or just kind of go, "Oh yeah, cool, he didn't die." I know I said the word. But I will be doing a bunch more of these things, so hopefully I will be pushing some more stuff out for you guys. Hopefully I'll be doing okay with it. Like I said, I do miss it. I do want to keep doing it. And I would like to think I'm just something a little bit different from other people. I don't compete or mesh super well, so I just try to do something a little bit off from everybody else. So y'all know me. I don't have a great niche insert catchphrase. But again, thank you all so much. Thanks for sticking with me on this for this long. Please stay tuned for more reptile content and other content if that's what you guys are really interested in. I know a couple people, I still get comments on videos from 4 years ago explaining how, "Hey, idiot, still water is not in Texas, it's in Oklahoma." But some people have asked me to do other topics and stuff, so if there's any videos that you do want to get my opinion about, or stuff that you haven't really heard discussed a whole lot, I will do my best to accommodate those things for all of you guys. Again, really appreciate it. Hope everyone's having a great day, and we'll check you next time.